I now call on the Right Reverend Claude Berkeley, Bishop of Trinidad and Tobago, to deliver the opening prayer.
May we bow our heads in prayer. I pray in the name of the triune God, revealed as Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Amen. Verses from Psalm 147. Hallelujah. How good it is to sing praises to our God. How pleasant it is to honor him with praise. The Lord rebuilds Jerusalem. He gathers the exiles of Israel. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. He counts the number of the stars and calls them all by their names. Great is our Lord and mighty in power. There is no limit to his wisdom. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and shall be forever. Amen. We continue in prayer. Blessed are you, O God, our Father. Through your Son, you commanded your people who walk in newness of life to care compassionately for the sick, attend to the desires of your children. By the grace of your Spirit, make this place a house of blessing and a center of love, where physicians practice the art of healing wisely, where nurses and aides serve the sick with care, where the faithful come to visit the Lord in the person of their brothers and sisters. Grant that, comforted in their illness, the patients will quickly regain their health and joyfully give you thanks for the favors they have received. We give thanks for all who have worked hard to complete this great work and place of healing: policymakers, architects, contractors, specialists, and general workers. Continue, O God, to bless their heritage. And now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we can ask or conceive, by the power which is at work among us, to him be glory and honor throughout all ages. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop. We may be seated. Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Terence Dial Singh, Minister of Health, the Honorable Stuart R. Young, SC, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, members of the Cabinet, members of the Parliament, Mr. Yang Han, Chargé d'Affaires, Embassy of the People's Republic of China, His Worship, Alderman Chinua Alain, Mayor of the City of Port of Spain, aldermen and councillors of the City Corporation and neighboring corporations, Mr. Asif Ali, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, other permanent and deputy permanent secretaries, Dr. Leslie Roberts, Chairman of the Northwest Regional Health Authority, and members of the board, Major Anthony Blake, Chief Executive Officer of the Northwest Regional Health Authority, management and staff of the NWRHA, Mr. Noel Garcia, Chairman of UDCOT and members of the board, Mr. Mika Charles, Chief Executive Officer, UDCOT, management and staff of UDCOT, the Right Reverend Claude Berkeley, Bishop of Trinidad and Tobago, representatives of the China Railway Construction Caribbean Company Limited and subcontractors, specially invited guests, members of the media, members of the national public viewing live on TTT, UDCOT's, the Ministry of Health's, and NWRHA's Facebook pages, and listening on I-95.5 FM, Talk City 91.1 FM, and Sangeet 106.1 FM. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Marc-Andre Augustus. Welcome to the official commemoration for the achievement of the practical completion of the construction of the new Port of Spain Central Hospital, General Hospital, Central Block. First on our program, kindly give a warm welcome to His Worship the Mayor of Port of Spain, Alderman Chinua Alain, to bring us the welcoming remarks.
The protocols having been established, ladies and gentlemen, permit me please to recognize Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Terence Dayal Singh, Minister of Health, the Honorable Stuart Richard Young, SC, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, and the Parliamentary Representative for the constituency of Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West. Members of the Cabinet who are here in quite large numbers. Councillor Yang Han, Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China. My colleagues from the Council of the City of Port of Spain and other local government officials. Mr. Asif Ali, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, and other permanent and deputy permanent secretaries, Dr. Leslie Roberts, Chairman of the Northwest Regional Health Authority and members of the board, Major Anthony Blake, Chief Executive Officer, and members of the management and staff of the NWRHA, Sir Noel Garcia, Chairman of UDCOT and members of the board, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's with great sense of pride and an even greater sense of nostalgia that I address all of you gathered here this morning to bring welcome remarks on the occasion of commemorating this new central block of the Port of Spain General Hospital. The efforts to provide for the health and well-being of the people of Port of Spain is a story as long as this building is tall. The fire of 1808 saw the destruction of the then town hospital, which was made of pui wood, and at which site now hosts the Trinity Cathedral by Woodford Square. The then colonial government engaged in several failed efforts to provide for the health of the people of Port of Spain, including in 1822, a legacy tax whose purpose was to fund the building of a public hospital, and those funds were misappropriated by the colonial treasurer, Major Ford. And in 1836, a competition which offered a £25 sterling prize for the best plan for a hospital. In 1845, a committee was appointed to locate a site for the new hospital, finally settling on the Orange Grove site, which hosts the military barracks and its medical facilities. The foundation stone was laid by Lord Harris in 1855, and the colonial hospital opened on St. Anne's Road, now Charlotte Street, on September 1st, 1858. It was a modern marvel at the time, 400 feet long, 64 feet wide, and containing 6 wards. By 1888, the hospital accommodated 400 inpatients and averaged 525 outpatients daily. In 1897, electric lights were installed for the first time, replacing the kerosene lamps, and in 1899, the first X-ray machine was installed. I say all of this, ladies and gentlemen, just to give some context from how far we have come from the first foundation stone being laid here by Lord Harris in 1855, to our Prime Minister's vision leading us to commemorating this new state-of-the-art facility 170 years later. I feel great pride in being able to participate in this pivotal moment in our city's history as the Mayor of Port of Spain. I also feel a great sense of nostalgia as I, like many of my fellow citizens, first visited this hospital in 1985 on the occasion of my birth. This hospital has provided critical healthcare services for the people of Port of Spain for almost 2 centuries, and there is no doubt in my mind that by way of this investment, it will continue to do so for centuries to come. I feel a further sense of nostalgia in speaking here today, as I grew up on this hospital compound by the then Prem unit. My mother returned to Trinidad and Tobago to take up employment at the Port of Spain General Hospital in October of 1982, and worked here for almost all of her adult life until her retirement in 2010. This hospital has provided financially for my family and countless Port of Spain families for decades, and I am certain that this new development will also continue to do so. On behalf of my colleagues and the people of Port of Spain, I would like to once again thank the Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, for his commitment to the capital city and for leading the way in ensuring the city's continued growth and development. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the city of Port of Spain, and thank you all so very much.
Thanks, Your Worship. Let's now welcome to the podium Major Anthony Blake, Chief Executive Officer of the Northwest Regional Health Authority, to bring us his remarks.
Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Terence Dial Singh, Minister of Health, the Honorable Stuart R. Young, SC, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, and of course, Member of Parliament for Port of Spain, North, St. Anne's West, members of the Cabinet, members of Parliament, His Excellency Fang Shu, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, Embassy of the People's Republic of China, His Worship Alderman Chinua Allen, Mayor of the City of Port of Spain, Aldermen and Councillors of the City of Port of Spain and neighboring corporations, Mr. Asif Ali, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, other Permanent Secretaries and Deputy Permanent Secretaries, Dr. Leslie Roberts, Chairman of the Northwest Regional Health Authority, and of course, members of the board of the Northwest Regional Health Authority, management and staff of the Northwest Regional Health Authority, Mr. Noel Garcia, Chairman of the UDCOT and members of the UDCOT board, Mr. Mika Charles, Chief Executive Officer of the UDCOT, management and staff of the UDCOT, the Right Reverend Claude Berkeley, Bishop of Trinidad and Tobago, representatives of the China Railway Caribbean Company Limited, and of course the subcontractors, specially invited guests, members of the media, and members of the national public viewing online. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a historic day, not only for the Northwest Regional Health Authority, but for the entire nation of Trinidad and Tobago. It is with immense pride and gratitude that we gather here to mark the official completion of construction works at the new central block at the Port of Spain General Hospital, a facility built upon a legacy of service and designed for a future of innovation, excellence, and compassion. This is not simply an unveiling of a new building, it is a realization of a vision. It is a bold statement that healthcare delivery in our country is evolving to meet the needs of our people. The new Central Block stands as testament to our unwavering commitment to providing world-class healthcare through modern, efficient, and integrated health services. The project presented many first-time experiences and unique challenges for the nation. Notably, it involved the demolition of a substantial building, and that is the old Central Block, which had to be demolished, while the hospital remained functional at the same time. And in that regard, I want to thank the staff at the Northwest Regional Health Authority for bearing with the noise pollution, the dust. I want to thank Holy Name Convent, and I want to thank the citizens of Port of Spain and environs that had to bear with us through this time. But we're on to a new era. The new Central Block is far more than a replacement of what stood here. With a capacity of 540 beds and advanced medical technologies, we will be expanding our offering of specialized clinical services in the future. Additionally, health services that were temporarily transferred to other facilities within the region due to the 2018 decanting will now return to the facilities. And these services include the eye clinic, which are now situated at the St. James facility, which will return now to the new campus of the Port of Spain General Hospital. The new facility has an increasing number of operating theaters, ensuring faster surgical interventions, reduced waiting times, and better patient outcomes. But buildings and equipment alone do not make a hospital. That is why we are growing our team of highly trained medical professionals to ensure that every patient who walks through these doors receives the quality of care that they deserve. The facility is more than a symbol of physical transformation. It is the epicenter of our digital health revolution, which will aid the authority in realizing its vision of leading healthcare in Trinidad and Tobago. We are embedding cutting-edge technology into every aspect of care. Since the introduction of our health information system in 2019, we have worked towards a fully digital patient record system. This ensures that patient information flows seamlessly, accurately, and securely from admission to discharge. With the HIS, we will empower our clinicians with real-time access to patient data. Artificial intelligence is presently being integrated into our HIS to assist clinical decision-making, drive better diagnosis, and patient outcomes. Our mobile health application, which will be relaunched soon, will also allow patients to take ownership of their healthcare like never before. For patients, this transformation means shorter waiting times, fewer errors, and better patient outcomes. For our medical teams, it means less paperwork and more patient work. For the government and the people of Trinidad and Tobago, it means data-driven decision-making, optimized resource management, and increased opportunities for integration of national health services. This is how we will create a healthcare system that is responsive, resilient, and ready for the future. This is healthcare reimagined, a system built on precision, safety, and convenience for all. Such a milestone could not have been achieved alone. On behalf of the Northwest Regional Health Authority, I extend a heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister. I want to say thanks, sir, for your vision for this hospital, for healthcare nationally. Minister of Health really put his shoulder on where this project is concerned and has really been a to the other government ministers that have all played their support, including the Minister. Thanks for your kind mercies, sir. To the Board of Directors and management of UDCOT, to the board of the Northwest Regional Health Authority, to all stakeholders that have played a role in this project, I say thank you to you. In closing, as we commemorate the completion of the new Central Block, we are not just inaugurating a facility, we are ushering in a new era of healthcare in Trinidad and Tobago. Less paperwork and more patient work, greater innovation and deeper compassion. Healthcare is and always will be about people, about lives saved, about families comforted, and about communities being strengthened. Together, we are building not just for today, but for a healthier, brighter tomorrow. To all.
Thank you, Major Blake. Let's welcome on stage the Freetown Collective with Take Me Home.
Good morning, everyone. Many, many years ago, we inherited an island, and we have made that place into our country, and we are now seeking to reinforce the institutions that make that place into our home. And a part of that is us creating music that makes us feel patriotic. So I give this to you, yeah? I'll go across any ocean to find it. Won't let no mountain get in the way. Hey. We come across the water, been through the fire. I know that my heart goes show many ways. Well, everywhere you turn, you see people smiling. We don't see no creed and race. I don't want nobody tell me about leaving. We fight for we thing and this is we place. Take me home. Take me home. Take me to a place where my heart don't feel no pain. Take me home, take me home, take me home. Where everybody's shouting out, right there. It's have a rhythm deep down inside me. And if you're looking for me, you're gonna find me. Right there, right there. Ribbidi bim bim bidim, right there. It's have a rhythm deep down inside me. Take me home, take me home, take me home. Wake me up before I fall asleep. Take me to a place where lovers meet. Marry me to the heart of Port of Spain. So if I ever leave, I'm bound to come again. All around is fire and flames. Oh, this world is so crazy, yes. So protect we island, Father, we pray. Until the very end of we days. If you know it, you can sing, you know. Take me home. Don't afraid, I know it's a fancy thing, but we now come up the road, right? Take me to a place where my heart don't feel no pain. Take me home. You know this part? You know this part? Where everybody's shouting out. It's a rhythm deep down in. And if you're looking for me, you go right there, right there. Ribbidi bim bim bidim. It's a rhythm deep down inside me. Take me home. I can get me third verse, rockers. They say it's only crime, they say only violence. They say Trinbago not good again. But here on these shores I sit down in silence, blessed by the sun and kissed by the rain. From all over the world we come to this island. In her arms we made a home. Now that she needs me more than ever, how could I ever leave she alone? Take me home. Sing with me. Take me home. We are building a home. Take me to a place where my heart don't feel no pain. Take me home, take me home, take me home. Where everybody's shouting out. It's a rhythm deep down in. And if you're looking for me, you go right there, right there. Ribbidi bim bim bidi. It's a rhythm deep down inside me. Take me home, take me home. I want to hear them all alone, Lucas. Take me home. It's a choir coming. I want to make them jealous. 2 more times. The minister singing already. Take me to a place where my heart don't feel no pain. Take me home, take me home, take me home. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Freetown Collective. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Stuart Young, SC, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries and Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, to bring us his remarks.
Good morning to Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Terence Dial Singh, Minister of Health, to all of my other cabinet colleagues, to specially invited guests, in particular to my constituents who are present here, members of the media, and to the staff that have joined us here today. I am particularly proud of what we've seen being built right here, literally in the center of Port of Spain, and I have to say in Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West. And for 10 years, I have kept the confidence of our Prime Minister. For 10 years, like other members of Cabinet, having worked with Dr. Rowley, I have kept his confidence. But today, sir, I ask for a special indulgence to share a story. I was newly appointed as the Minister of National Security in August 2018. And a few weeks shortly thereafter, one of the first tasks that I was determined to get done is a personal tour of our prison facilities. So I just completed a tour of the maximum security facility up in Golden Grove, as well as remand yard, etc. And I was making my way back to Port of Spain and literally looked out the window. We were coming along the highway, and I thought I saw lampposts doing like this. But of course, I could not be sure. You're being driven in a vehicle. Literally, less than 2 minutes later, I received a call from the Honorable Prime Minister. He immediately said, with a sense of urgency and concern in his voice, "Stuart, did you feel that? There was just a massive earthquake." And he related to me that he was up at the diplomatic center, and at precisely where he was, what he felt, that he had looked up at the roof, hoping that it would not cave in, and then his first and immediate thought was, have you gotten any word on Central Block? Find out about that immediately. Because he related that he kept listening with a sense of some anxiety for the potential collapse of a major structure in Port of Spain. Fortunately, we survived that in 2018. It was a difficult time financially for us. We were prioritizing, as we've done, the use of the nation's tax-paying money. But immediately, Dr. Rowley came to Cabinet and said, we have a responsibility. And under him, he will ensure that the citizens of Port of Spain and that the country replace Central Block with a facility that we can be proud of, because that is our responsibility. So kudos to the Minister of Finance, who's been juggling to make it happen. Well done to the Minister of Health, to UDCOT, to the team that did this. Because the next thing that hit us was COVID, right in the middle of when the project started and all of the difficulties. But ladies and gentlemen, I share that personal story with you all today because I think it is important that you understand that side of someone that I'd like us to give a round of applause for what he has done for Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley. And there are many other stories like that. but I'm only taking one indulgence here today. I listened to the mayor, Alderman Chinua Allen, and as soon as I leave here, I am calling my parents to find out how come I couldn't get in to the Port of Spain General and why did I have to be born right across the road on Henry Street 50 years ago. So I'm going to take that one up personally with them. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a great day. It's a great day for us in Port of Spain, but not only Port of Spain, throughout the rest of Trinidad and Tobago. What you've seen in the last 10 years is a health system that has succeeded, a health system that is vibrant, a health system that has flourished, not only with infrastructure that we've built throughout the rest of Trinidad and Tobago. And my simple message as I get to my conclusion here this morning is one that I'm making a special plea and putting on record here today: maintenance. Because too often in Trinidad and Tobago, we get carried away with what I call the new build and the new contract and the new feel, and we don't maintain things properly. So Major Blake and your team, NWRHA, we the citizens will be looking at you very, very carefully as you enter this building, understanding all you're doing is looking after it for us, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And maintenance, maintenance, maintenance has to be a culture we reintroduce into Trinidad and Tobago, and something we will be focusing on. Dr. Rowley, thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for what you've done for us. And as a Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, I know how important this infrastructure that your leadership put down for us in Port of Spain and the rest of Trinidad and Tobago is. So I sincerely thank you for your leadership and your decision making. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West. Welcome to the city of Port of Spain. I hope that your visits here will be good visits as we go forward. And please join us in saying the positivity. What Mohammed sang just now, he is right. Because I am convinced as we change our culture to one of maintenance, it comes from a position of personal pride. Because when you are personally proud and patriotic about Trinidad and Tobago, you take that personal responsibility very, very seriously, the way he has immortalized it in that song that he just sang for us here today. So welcome and thank you very much for your attention this morning.
Thank you, Minister Young. At this point in our program, please welcome the St. Francois Girls College Pan Ensemble. They will perform a medley. Here they come. Thank you, St. Francois Girls College, Pan Ensemble. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome to the podium the Honorable Terence Dial Singh, Minister of Health, to bring us his remarks on this auspicious occasion.
Wow, look at people. Good morning. I want to stand on the protocols established. However, I must recognize the Honorable Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. Without Dr. Rowley's advocacy and support, we will not be here today. I am particularly pleased to be bringing my remarks in this period. If it's one thing our founding father, Dr. Eric Williams, did right, was set the foundation where every creed and race can find an equal place. We are in the period of Lent. We are celebrating with our Muslim brothers and sisters the holy month of Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum to them. And we recently concluded with our Hindu brothers and sisters Shivratri, where we paid homage to Lord Shiva. Sitaram, Namaste. Ladies and gentlemen, this project could not have been done without the support of the Cabinet of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to build on what Minister Young said about the timeline of this project, where he spoke about the earthquake of August 2018. That gave us some impetus to find the money to do this project. But the project was conceptualized in June 22nd of 2017. And I will quote from the Cabinet Minute. C, a new central block to be constructed at the Port of Spain General Hospital. Done, because that's what we are celebrating today, the practical end of construction. D, the Ministry of Health and the Northwest Regional Health Authority proceed with the development of a user brief for the construction of the new central block. We could not have prioritized this project, as Minister Young said, after the earthquake if we did not have a user brief. And D, a subsequent note to be submitted to Cabinet for the approval of the overall estimated project budget for the construction of the new central block of Port of Spain General Hospital. But what happened next? The earthquake of August 2018. And as Minister Young rightly said, that was the impetus to now take what Cabinet decided and move with it with speed. What we have here today is a 540-bed facility at an estimated cost to date of $1.3 billion. Estimated cost to date of $1.3 billion. But what can this hospital do to patients? Who will be treated here? Intensive care unit, pediatrics ICU, 15 beds dedicated to that purpose. High dependence unit, pediatrics HDU, 13 beds. So pediatrics will be returned to Port of Spain General Hospital. Coronary care unit, 10 beds. Surgical wards, 194 beds. Medical wards, 216 beds. We will be taking groups of people up to level 5, where we have outfitted as a show ward. So you can see what a typical ward will look like. It's a medical ward. Psychiatry wards, 26 beds. Why psychiatry wards? You would have heard me talk about the decentralization of mental health. This is part of it. So not everyone will be in St. Anne's. We also have psychiatry wards in Arima, Sangre Grande, Point Fortin, and pediatric wards, 66 beds. That is what this is about. That's what the user brief produced, and this is the physical manifestation of that. However, the earthquake of August 2018 came. Major Blake spoke briefly about that. But today, this celebration could not be complete without telling you what healthcare workers went through when that earthquake struck. The decanting of Central Block during an earthquake. Aftershock, 2 days after. Remember those days? It was not just one event, it was 2 seismic events. And then when we had to destroy and take down and demolish the old Central Block, the conditions under which healthcare workers had to work and perform here were not of the best. Mr. Garcia and myself spent many days here supervising that destruction, that bringing down of old Central Block. The dust was phenomenal. The noise. We had to screen off the old hospital, which meant ventilation didn't go into the old hospital. Healthcare workers never once complained. They put their shoulders to the wheel and continued to work. And today, I want to recognize 15 representatives of the hundreds of people, from the security guard to the ambulance driver, to the daily paid worker, to the lab technician, right up. And in no special order, I will call these persons to stand and ask you to hold the applause until I have called all 15 names. Dr. Madhura Manjunath, Head Laboratory Services. Jeanette Bissessa, Nursing Administrator 2, Acton. Keisha Brown Douglas, Senior Radiographer. Diane Figaro, Adult ICU Consultant. Denise Dyer Campbell, Nursing Supervisor. Nicole Reyes, Nursing Supervisor. Stacy Ramuta, Manager, Health and Safety. Demetrius, they're from Greek mythology. Demetrius Harrison, Supervisor, Hospital Attendant. Representing all those people on the ground. Don Felix, Charge Hand. Michelle Raymond, Nursing Supervisor. Dr. Michael Barrow, Pathologist. Dr. Dexter Thomas, with whom I had many conversations. Dexter, you here? There you are. Dr. Tanzila Barrow, Radiologist. Amawati Sami, Nursing Supervisor. Alicia Surujlal, Senior Dietitian. These are the people on the ground who made sure services continued throughout that process. I also want to recognize the kitchen staff and every single healthcare worker who I interacted with during that difficult time. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the round of applause should be big, it should be loud. And they have all received their tokens of appreciation. Thank you very much for your service to country. So, first Cabinet Note 2017, Earthquake 2018. Then the other milestone was our sword-turning ceremony, which was right around here with the Honorable Prime Minister on November 19th, 2019. Other milestone, our topping off ceremony, where the Prime Minister and myself went up to the top floor and did the last bit of concrete there on October 23rd, 2023. And today, March 10th, 2025, marks the third of 4 phases where this facility will become operational. Today, we mark the practical completion of construction of this central block. And if you would like to give A round of applause for that. I thank you. But you see, the Prime Minister not only advocated for and supported this project. One of the first things the Prime Minister did, Honorable Prime Minister, was to create something called a Ministry of Digital Transformation. And he challenged the country and his ministers to embrace technology and to move towards a system where technology is embedded in everything that we do. Part of what we are doing in health is what we call an organizational renewal and modernization strategy, targeting infrastructure. But when we say infrastructure, we don't mean physical infrastructure, concrete and glass. We mean health infrastructure, embedding that in our processes, inclusive of artificial intelligence, and moving from what we call a paper-heavy to a paper-light to a paperless system. One of the biggest complaints healthcare workers have and patients have is what? Lost records. When you walk into a vault with paper records, it is scary. It is scary. You have paper being accumulated here from decades gone by. So what we are doing is moving from a paper heavy to paper light, where we use less paper, some more technology, and then eventually to paperless, where it's purely technology. And that is because you had a Prime Minister who saw this working in a place called Estonia. And he charged Minister Bacchus, who I hope is here. Yes, sir. He charged Minister Bacchus to visit Estonia and bring their learnings to Trinidad and Tobago. And we in the Ministry of Health took that lead very, very seriously. Let me tell you where we have reached. Everybody knows that they take an X-ray, they take a CT scan, they take an MRI. If you take one in Port of Spain, and you happen to be in San Fernando on vacation, or you happen to be in Grande for Easter weekend, something happens to you, what do they have to do? Re-image you. Take a new CT, a new MRI, a new thing. We are now in a stage where North Central RHA, Eastern RHA, and Southwest RHA can share images. This facility will come online on March 31st, 2025. So in 1 month, your image, wherever you have taken it, can be viewed by a clinician in any part of the country. That is already being done. To accompany that, we are working to make sure your lab results, nobody likes to get stuck to draw blood, right? Similarly, your lab results could be viewed anywhere in the country. So we don't have to redraw blood. We don't have to put you through that again. And we have, not will be going to, we have already pioneered and started to embed the use of electronic prescriptions throughout our system. And I will tell you something. For healthcare workers, there has been not one iota of resistance to the use of technology. Not one. It has been a seamless transition, and I want to thank all healthcare workers for working with that and working with us. So technology and AI is going to be a part of what we do, and is a part of what we do. You would have heard me say in budget presentations that this hospital should become, will become, and is becoming the premier teaching facility in the Caribbean. Port of Spain General Hospital has a rich history of excellence in teaching. When I first visited the medical library when we were rebuilding this here, for those of you who are going to be using that medical library in months and years to come, Major Blake is smiling, he knows what I'm going to say. There is a plaque there is a plaque there with all the great names of doctors from the past. I gave down. Integrate facility befitting its name of a capital city hospital. Names like Professor Courtney Bartholomew, gastroenterology. Names like Professor Butler in surgery. Names like Professor McFarlane in immunology will ring through the years, and new students could find inspiration in what they have done. To the nurses, Nurse Marjorie Julian, who was a nursing administrator par excellence. Sister Belfort for her theater services. Some of you may know these names, but these are the people on whose shoulders we stand on today. And I would like us to give them a hearty round of applause. So in keeping with my promise to make sure that this facility becomes a premier location for teaching, I now want to recognize in the audience, because I asked for them to be here specifically, Professor Bell Antoine of the University of the West Indies and Professor Sitharaman Hariharan, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Medical Sciences. They have been working with me over the past year to come up with what we call a user brief, to make sure that teaching in your city is embedded like technology in what we do and see. We are partnering with them. We are partnering with Newfield's Technologies and have already introduced artificial intelligence into what we are doing. Could you imagine? The day is here when a doctor no longer has to write notes, but could recite his notes and it is automatically transcribed into text. That is already being done in St. James and will be here soon. Because you see, the medical, nursing, pharmacy students and the allied care students of the future demand nothing less than the best that technology has to offer. So we are marrying infrastructure with people, with process, to get an outcome which is superior patient care. As Major Blake said, less time writing and more time with patients. And you will get a demonstration with that very, very soon. So this is just the beginning, folks. Our young people who are technology-driven will find a place here that they can call home, where they could use their thumbs for something other than looking at Facebook and so on. So ladies and gentlemen, to recap, today is a historic day. Today is a time where we could celebrate of peoples of different races, different religions. As I said, we have this confluence of Lent, Ramadan, we just finished Shivratri. Today is a day where we open this facility for every creed and every race. And in closing, this could not have been possible without the guidance, support, and advocacy of one, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Dayal Singh. Let's put our hands together for the NWRHA staff choir as they bring their tribute in song. Minister Dayal Singh pays tribute to these staff members who worked during the construction.
Good morning, all protocols observed. As we assemble, I would like to introduce the members of the Combined Nurses Choir, consisting of staff of both the St. Anne's, St. James, and Port of Spain General Hospital. We hope our rendition this morning will be an encouragement to all, the nursing staff in particular, and all others in our hearing.
Order my steps in your word, dear Lord. Lead me, guide me every day. Send your anointing, Father, I pray. Order my steps in your word. Please order my steps in your word. Order my steps in your word, dear Lord. Lead me, guide me every day. Send your anointing, Father, I pray. Order my steps in your word. Please order my steps in your word. Humbly I ask thee, teach me your word. While I am waiting, help me be still. Though Satan is busy, God is real. Order my steps in your word. Please order my steps in your word.
Bridle my tongue, let my words edify. Let the words of my mouth be acceptable in thy sight. Take charge of my thoughts both day and night. Order my steps in your word. Please order my steps in your word.
I want to walk worthy.
I want to walk worthy.
My calling to fulfill. Please order my steps, please, Lord, and I'll do your blessed will. Your word is ever changing.
The world is ever changing,
But you are still the same. Please order my steps, Lord. I praise your name. Order my steps, please order in your word. Order my tongue, teach me to speak your in your word. Guide my feet in your word. Wash my heart in your word. Show me how to walk.
show me how to walk.
In your word. Show me how to talk.
I want to learn how to talk.
When I need a brand new song to sing.
Show me
how to let your praises ring in your word. In your word. Please order my steps in your word. Please order my steps in your word. I want to walk worthy.
I want to walk
steps in your word.
In your word.
Please order my steps in your word.
In your word.
Please order my steps in your word. Please order my steps in your word.
That was the NWRHA staff choir, ladies and gentlemen. And we thank them for their sacrifice. As indicated in your program, we take a look now at a video feature production on the new Central Block.
It all began on Tuesday, 19th November 2019, when we took the first step towards transforming this vision into reality. On this day, the sod was turned, marking the official beginning of an ambitious journey. On Monday, the 23rd October 2023, we celebrated another major milestone, the topping off ceremony, symbolizing the completion of the building's structural framework and the countdown to the finish.
Today is a very significant milestone in the completion of this 540-bed tower at Port of Spain General Hospital.
The topping off ceremony marks a major milestone in construction, celebrating the completion of the building's highest point. This tradition acknowledges the hard work, dedication, and skill of the construction team and looks ahead to an exciting future of completing this project.
At the Central Block, we are committed to delivering state-of-the-art healthcare with cutting-edge technology and world-class facilities. Designed with patient comfort and efficiency in mind, our modern spaces create an optimal healing environment. With advanced equipment and modern infrastructure, we're raising the standard of healthcare for our community. Now, we stand at the threshold of completion. What was once an idea has taken shape, and soon this space will come to life, ready to serve, inspire, and redefine possibilities. With the construction work completed, we now move into Phase 4, commissioning and outfitting. At this phase, the Central Block will be fully outfitted with first-class medical equipment that has been commissioned and ready for operation. Training of staff ensures that all system and facilities function seamlessly, supporting efficiency and excellence. These final steps will bring the Central Block to life, ready to serve the nation of Trinidad and Tobago. The new Port of Spain General Hospital Central Block, where innovation meets care for a healthier Trinidad and Tobago.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to welcome to the lectern the incomparable, the inimitable, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, to deliver today's feature address.
Thank you very much, Mark Anthony Augustine. I finally got it right. A very good morning, fellow citizens all present here and following us on the various platforms of transmission. This is indeed the day the Lord has made for all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Permit me, in going through the formalities, to acknowledge the presence amongst us of Bishop Berkeley and to thank him for his words of inspiration and guidance this morning. I also would like to acknowledge my cabinet colleague, the Honorable Terence Singh, who has probably now got the title of the longest serving Minister of Health in Trinidad and Tobago. But that is a job that had to be done, and Minister Dayal Singh has been on it for quite some time. I also would like to acknowledge Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Minister Stuart Young, who one would have got the impression this morning that Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West is trying to claim this hospital. But this is a hospital in the city of Port of Spain as part of the commitment to ensure that the city of Port of Spain remains a worthy capital of the nation of Trinidad and Tobago. My other cabinet colleagues all and members of parliament, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of the Mayor of Port of Spain, Alderman Chinua Alin, who gave us a very tantalizing bit of history this morning. That Mr. Ford, he didn't tell us what happened to Mr. Ford, who stole the money for the first hospital. I suspect that nothing happened to him, because they say as it was in the beginning, so it was in the end. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Yang Han, Charge d'Affaires of the People's Republic of China, who has a significant role to play in this contract, which had quite an interesting history, where it started out as a contract won by a Chinese company, but with the supply chain difficulties, the contractor chose to hand over the contract to local contractors, but to also provide what the Chinese company had done to ensure that the local contractors could have proceeded in a seamless way. Otherwise, we could have been facing a bit of a calamity with a major project like this. I would also like to acknowledge other members of the Port of Spain City Corporation and neighboring corporations who are visiting us. Mr. Asif Ali, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, and his Deputy Permanent Secretaries. Dr. Leslie Roberts, Chairman of the NWRHA, and members of that board. Mr. Major Anthony Blake, CEO of the Northwest Regional Health Authority. Mr. Noel Garcia, who is head of UDICOT, and as many of you would know, as Prime Minister, from day one, I also assumed the portfolio of UDICOT. So much of what went on here, difficulties and all, I remember having to answer in Parliament for some of the difficulties we were facing and the conspiracy theories that went with it, because I was the minister responsible for UDICOT, which had responsibility for this and many other projects. Acknowledge also Mr. Mika Charles, the CEO, and her technical staff for having to carry out the professional responsibilities, and representatives of China Railway Construction, contractors and subcontractors all. Our specially invited guests, members of the media, members of the radio stations and television stations who are covering this event, ladies and gentlemen all. Many of you would know me as Member of Parliament, Minister for Agriculture, Housing, Trade, all kinds of ministries. The one thing that you do not know, or probably would have forgotten, maybe never knew, that for a moment I was also the Minister of Health. I was acting Minister of Health one weekend. I think it was a weekend because I was in San Fernando. I was in San Fernando when somebody fed eggnog to the patients and the Port of Spain Health St. Anne's Hospital. And incidentally, that was a serious tragedy because a number of patients did lose their lives. But as soon as that calamity became known, the minister was sought and found. I was the minister in San Fernando, and that apparently was going to be the highlight of my career as Minister of Health. I had not seen it printed anywhere that I was the minister who poisoned patients in the hospital. I think it is because it was a weekend and Minister Eckstein hurried back from wherever he was and took full charge of the situation with Roll Edwards at the time. So I steered clear of the Ministry of Health and health matters in my political career. Oh yes? I then became Prime Minister of the country. And something that didn't happen for 100 years happened on my watch. End of 2019, we are informed that an unknown virus is on its way, threatening the world's population, and we are now facing the pandemic of COVID-19. And when I thought that the St. Anne's incident was going to be the highlight of my career, I, as Prime Minister this time, had to watch what happened in China, in Bergamo, in New York, in India, and it's on its way to Trinidad and Tobago. But I had the confidence then that in the health system of Trinidad and Tobago, we had a foundation, physical and human, and we would do the best we can in the face of this rampaging virus. And this morning, I think Dr. Parasham is in the audience this morning, and I'd like you to give him a round of applause. As the professional who led us to confront COVID-19. And of course, I thought that that was my dose. But Minister Dayal Singh mentioned a cabinet decision that took place in June of 2017. And you may recall that that was not a time of plenty. It was a time of great financial difficulty. But managing a country is all about priorities. There's never enough to do everything that has to be done. And there's never a day when everything would have been done and we could say, okay, we finished what has to be done, let's all go off to Maracas and have a wonderful time for the rest of our lives. We had to prioritize. And somewhere in coming to grips with the responsibility of establishing the priorities that would be attached to the office of Prime Minister, I came across a document which was the engineering assessment, the final engineering report on the Central Block, which was the largest hospital block in the country. It's called the Central Block, in the capital city here in Port of Spain. And as I read that report sometime before June, it frightened me that somewhere during my tenure, the Central Block could become a disaster zone. Because that engineering study in 2009, the final report, indicated quite clearly that the Central Block in the city of Port of Spain's major hospital in the nation was engineeringly unsound, meaning that it had come to the end of its useful life and it could not perform engineeringly if it was called upon so to do. And that is why, as Prime Minister, you heard all my colleagues here talking about the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister. It was simply a question of it being put on the priority list of things to do because we had a calamity in the week and we were warned, an engineering study. So in June of 2017, having taken that issue to the cabinet agreed then that whatever circumstances we were facing, we must address this particular matter. And that is how a cabinet decision of 2017 directed that a user brief be prepared for us to move forward, to find the resources and to address this issue of the dangerous central block in this hospital. So that was out of the way. But it wouldn't have and may not have been the first cabinet decision to have been taken when nothing ever happened. Because we have lots of cabinet decisions taken in good faith and good intentions. Some might fall through the crack, some might go in the wrong place. You might even have public servants trying to reverse the decision of the cabinet because they don't like it, because that happens too. But the fact that the cabinet had taken a decision did not guarantee that the user brief would have been done with dispatch and that the allocation of the financial resources would have gone to the top of the priority list. But the intention to deal with that issue was there in the government. And that is why I thought that my bad luck with health had run out when that day that was mentioned of that earthquake in 2018. I had only just come home from Whitehall and I was undressing. So I had just taken my jacket off. I wasn't naked. And I felt the first shock of the earthquake and I heard the earthquake coming. Normally we get earthquakes here very frequently as part of our geological natural hazard. Magnitude 3, magnitude 2, magnitude, sometimes magnitude 4. When it gets to magnitude 4 or 4.5, then you feel the shake. But the smaller ones you don't normally feel, but they're carrying on all the time. But the measurement of earthquakes that is a geometrical scale. A magnitude 3 is 10 times the size of a magnitude 2. And magnitude 4 is 10 times the size of magnitude 3. And a 5 is 10 times the size of magnitude 4. See what I'm talking about? So when that earthquake started and the strength of the jolt and the noise it came with, I realized that this was a serious one. And I said, today might be my worst day with health because that building is going to come down. And those seconds feel like a lifetime for those of you who ever experienced an earthquake. It only lasts about 90 seconds or 60 seconds. But while it's going on, it feels like it's going on forever. And I'm there looking up at the ceiling in my bedroom to see if it's going to break. The building, the floor is rolling, but I'm listening. I'm listening to hear if the central block that was deemed engineeringly unsound in 2009, if today was the day that that building was going to come down. And then the earthquake stopped. And I didn't hear anything, so I felt maybe it didn't come down. So I rushed to the end of the building to look over here to see if I saw anything. And that's when I called Mr. Young to ask him if the report has got to him yet that something has happened in here. And I could tell you the relief that we all felt when that building that was deemed unsound rode out that earthquake. But then the trouble was, the earthquake might have damaged the building. It didn't fall that day. But what happens in earthquake zones is that the aftershock sometimes could be large enough to finish the job. So we had a magnitude 6.3, I think it was. We are now in line to get an earthquake, magnitude 5, magnitude 4.5. That could be an aftershock or sometimes many aftershocks. So while the original building may have survived the magnitude 6.3, what was left was not certain to survive a magnitude 5 or a magnitude 4. So the cabinet, regardless of what we had to do, we had to give top priority to taking that building down and putting up a replacement. And of course, when you build, you don't build for today, you build for the future. So we took the opportunity to build not a replacement in number of beds or a restriction to the floor size, but we maximized what could have been done at the time. And today, we have come here to celebrate and to take control of the practical completion of a 540-bed modern structure which will contain some of the leading aspects of healthcare delivery in the Caribbean, if not in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, that is worthy of celebration. I know amongst our population there are people who will tell you at the drop of a hat that nothing is happening and nothing is going on. But just remember what Mayor Aline told you about Mr. Ford and the 6-bed hospital that came after Mr. Ford stole the money. We moved, this island has moved from 6 beds in the colonial days and maybe 6 doctors to 540 beds on one spot, one building, because we have built hospitals across the nation in recent times. We started expanding our physical infrastructure with the building of the Mount Hope Hospital in the 80s. That was a major step forward. The expansion of San Fernando General Hospital, which I think is our largest hospital. We moved and expanded that hospital, major development there. And then in recent years, especially in the last 7 years or so, we've delivered in communities where there was always a clamor for a modern hospital. You would have known the people of Arima, how they were behaving all along. They wanted no polyclinic and they wanted no health center. They want a hospital. This government has built a hospital in Arima. We have replaced the old the Point Fortin hospital with a modern hospital, which we've built in the last 7 years. We've completed the construction of the Couva Hospital. We've built a hospital in Roxborough, small one albeit, but it will serve the population in Eastern Tobago instead of them having to rush pregnant women or basic services to the one hospital in Tobago. Now Tobago has 2 hospitals. We celebrated the dedication of the healthcare staff, doctors, nurses, technicians in Sangre Grande, who, away from the hurly-burly and the narratives of this country, staff that went beyond the call of duty, living and working in containers, providing some of the best healthcare in the nation. They now have a modern hospital campus in Sangre Grande. And today we complete this infrastructural tour of the nation where we can say confidently, in the capital city, in the eastern outreaches of Tobago, in the southwestern peninsula, in central Trinidad, even in Diego Martin West. Not only Port Spain North, we have in Diamond Vale for the Diego Martin community one of the finest smaller facilities in the Diego Martin area, which incidentally was built and commissioned during the height of COVID. And that should tell you the priority we place on healthcare. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout my career, I've begged my colleagues and my fellow citizens, don't sell this country short. I know there's a lot to be done. I know we fail from point to point, from time to time, but in this nation, there's so much that we can be proud of. We must acknowledge that it has been good in very many areas. And one of those areas is the health sector. I have a few colleagues in the parliament who every so often they are nothing to do, get up and talk about the collapse of the health center. During COVID, I was talking to some people abroad who were experiencing the worst of Delta while we were just being exposed to Delta. And in my conversations after about 3 or 4 days, comparing notes with a hospital in the United States and a government department, one of the people stopped me in midstream and asked me, where did we get that staff from? Because I was talking to them about the staff that we had and what they were doing and how we were proceeding to respond to COVID. And they got to know the staff designation that I was talking about. And one person asked in the meeting, where do you get your staff from? And I said, they are public servants on the establishment in Trinidad and Tobago. And the person repeated the question, yes, but where did you get them from? And I said, they are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who might have studied abroad or in very many universities, but they all belong to Trinidad and Tobago. And they are in our hospitals, including probably the only virologist who was able to track the variants of COVID as we collected samples in our population and moving from Delta to Omicron or whatever it was called along the way. These were people who were on the establishment of the public service in our country. And people in some of the richest countries of the world, because I had another country in Europe asking me, where did we get our technical help from in the face of the threat from COVID? They came from the public service and the University of the West Indies. But good news doesn't sell. Doesn't sell. If one person goes into one hospital and one medication is not present, oh God, the health system collapses. And there are a handful of people behind them to beat that drum. That is not to say that everything is perfect. It is to say that we must acknowledge where people, especially professional people or people at every level in the system, are doing what they are required to do to ensure that the rest of us have the best day we can have, because other people are doing what we depend on them to do. And ladies and gentlemen, in our health system, we have a lot that we can be proud of. A lot. As a student of UWI, I've spent a significant portion of my life in UWI. I'm very happy to hear of the commitment that is made both by the government through the ministry and by the University of the West Indies to ensuring that this facility, if it is not already there, but it will move to the top of healthcare training. And I tell you all something too, talking about COVID. You remember what happened during COVID when vaccines were required and we couldn't buy one even though we had the money? And even where we paid the money, those who we paid put us at the back of the line. Right now, they are telling us something else. We rely a lot for our healthcare delivery on certain specialists who over the decades we have obtained from India, from the Philippines, sometimes from Africa, and mainly from Cuba. Out of the blue now we are being called human traffickers because we hire technical people who we pay top dollar equal to local rates, but we are now being accused of taking part in the program where people are being exploited. That's somebody's interpretation. And of course, there are local people here encouraging them to take away our US visas. Today, I just came back from California. And if I never go there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all. Ladies and gentlemen, in talking about priorities, it is to be known that Trinidad and Tobago, as an independent nation since 1962, we have made two areas of governmental activity, governmental responsibility, our priorities. Priority number one has to be our health care. Priority number two, education. And unfortunately, as a result of consistent bad behavior and poor training of many of our children, priority number 3 has now risen to become national security, which in fact some people will say is priority number 1. Because a government has to prioritize. These facilities I mentioned that you are familiar with, the expense that we incur in training, the commitment that we make to offer you the best technology available for healthcare delivery, all have to be paid for. Nobody is going to give us that for free. They might even allow us to use their facilities for $1. We have to begin to rely very much on ourselves, much more on ourselves. And that is why, as we make these commitments to put down these facilities, you build new hospitals, you are incurring additional costs for additional doctors, additional nurses, additional technicians, additional everything. So by adding those hospitals that we've added in the last 7 years, we've also added a significant cost to the healthcare expense bill. If we are unable to meet those expenses, then a different kind of Trinidad and Tobago will emerge. And that is why, alongside the priority of getting on with building schools that we built some, still have some more to build, building hospitals, hiring new people, alongside that, there is the priority of ensuring that the revenue stream of the country is secure. And the scale at which we have been incurring expense to give us the quality of life that we have become accustomed to requires a certain scale of revenue. We have been fortunate that we have been getting that revenue from the hydrocarbon sector, the oil and gas. At one point it was only oil, then it became oil and gas, now it's largely gas. But in the last few years, the same time I discovered that the Central Block was condemned, and therefore priority number 1 is to replace the Central Block before it falls down on the patients and fall down on the nation. We had to give priority close to number 1, if not above number 1, the actions that we have to take to ensure that the revenues to the country are available and sustainable to meet the bills that we are incurring. And that is why the government that I have led, with Minister Young in the Office of the Prime Minister, we focused on securing a revenue stream that is satisfactory to meet the needs of the country that we have established already or we are committing to establish. Thankfully, so far we have been successful. We have been successful in renegotiating the arrangements by which we earn from the sales of LNG plants. You would have seen that we had to shut down Train 1, which is where the government had a shareholding, and that is because our gas production has fallen. Some people had told us that it has fallen because it was maintenance, and as soon as maintenance was over, it will come back up to 4. That person is playing with my mic. We were told that, but then we had to face reality. It has nothing to do with maintenance. Maintenance is going on all the time. It has to do with we are draining out our reserves from our fields, and it's something that doesn't grow after you remove it. It just becomes less and less and less available. And we have not found within our border any significant replacement in parallel with the consumption that we make every day. Just think about it. At the height of our earnings, we were using 4.2 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day. Now, with the best effort, hard effort, we're struggling to make 2.6 billion cubic feet per day. That's the difference. But we have been able to renegotiate the scale of earning. So we have maintained a certain level of earnings from the lower volume, but that is not a guarantee that that will be so, because these markets go up and down all the time. And also we have been able to give priority to restructuring the LNG business in the country. Never done anywhere else in the world, where having not got any shareholding in Trains 2 and Trains 3, we were able to persuade the multinationals to change the arrangements, having lost Train 1, where today we move into a situation where the government's priority of getting strengthened revenues, we are now the owners of shareholding in Trains 2 and Trains 3, as well as what we had in Trains 4, 10% across the board. That guarantees a revenue stream. Without it, we would have been in significant difficulty going forward to pay for what we have committed and to pay for what we already owe. And of course, only today, I'm looking at the newspapers and I'm seeing a parliamentary colleague of mine literally jumping up and down, trying to convince the world the Dragon project. He's interfering with the mic again. That the Dragon gas project is finally being admitted by the government to have failed. I really want to think that, you know, when you go to a game and you want the team to win, what do? You cheer for the team, right? The batsman hasn't made runs for quite some time. He's going out to bat. Thank you very much. You're cheering and giving him some mental support that today will be the day when the runs will come. So I'm asking the rest of you to send your telepathic power to overcome this negative nonsense about the failure of the Dragon deal. Because what we have been able to accomplish there, if I may say so myself, is a marvelous surprise to many people. Because our gas within our border is running out. What will happen to Point Lisas, where we now depend so much on the activity of Point Lisas for our major revenue stream? What happens when the gas runs out? And it wouldn't run out in 8 years, you know. It will be running out along the way until by the 8th year or the 9th year, it's gone. But between now and then, as it gets less and less and less, the problem of insufficient gas equaling insufficient revenue, equaling not being able to pay for what you already owe or to do what you want to do, that is the calamity we'll be facing. This is a country where in our national budget of $60 billion, $6 billion is cash handed out to people who have no other income. That's what's going to happen. This is the country where people have become accustomed to the government carrying their own bills through subsidies for water, electricity, medical care, education. So if you don't have a proper revenue stream, the sustenance of that. And for those who believe that you could go to the IMF and get money there, that's true. But you get the IMF money on conditions. And the first conditions laid down for you to get IMF money when you can't pay your bills is to remove the government support for the population that we call subsidies. Free education, free health in every hospital, MRI for free, CAT scan for free, nurses for free, doctor for free. Ladies and gentlemen, we take too much for granted in this country. That is why we could have people in this country wanting to celebrate the failure of the Dragon deal. But I could tell you, they wouldn't have any problem. They stashed away enough. So you who haven't stashed away anything, it is your condition that they're laughing at. But I can tell you, to get the Venezuelan government to agree to have Trinidad and Tobago have a license to extract gas in a proven Venezuelan gas field is something that this country should acknowledge and celebrate. And of course, we got that during a time when the geopolitics is such that the United States and other countries, which shall remain nameless, are setting new parameters and new terms of trade. And sanctions by one country against another country could have the effect of destroying our economy. We're not involved in it. But it could destroy everything that we represent and that we hope for. And it takes a lot of good leadership to navigate between these grinding gears, to come away in an era of sanctions by the United States against Venezuela with an OFAC license from the Office of Foreign Asset Control, where Trinidad and Tobago has, in fact, the license to operate without the sanctions. And we simply have to have a commitment and to earn the respect of those we do business with to ensure that we move from talk to walking the outcome, because the future of our country depends on it. If you see us losing that OFAC license, as you will see in the news if it happens, then you know you're cook. If you see the Venezuelans not allowing us to use the Dragon Field, then you know that we are in difficulty. And of course, what we have been able to do as well, where there are fields as they exist now, shared by Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago, and we have not been able to extract any gas there for 20 years because we have been pursuing the normal legal way of doing that through unitization, where both countries have to do it together or agree on how it has to be done. We have been able in a short time to get the Venezuelans to agree to allow us, Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago, to cancel that approach and to let Trinidad and Tobago go into the field and extract its portion. And that's what's happening right now with Shell moving exorably towards extracting gas from Manatee, which is the largest volume of gas that we would have had coming into our reserves for the longest while. So if you see in the news any of these things going south and sour, do not join other people and jump up to celebrate it. Because you know what's going to happen there? Our revenue stream, doesn't matter what else we do, but our revenue stream on the scale that is required to pay teachers, to pay nurses, to pay doctors, to build hospitals, to pay MPs, to pay who? The requirement for a revenue stream, if what we have done in the last 7 years was not done, let me ask you something. Where would Trinidad and Tobago be today if those initiatives had not been successful? So we can hold out to you today the promise of a continuation of good revenues from gas in particular, from within our border as well as from across the border. I want you to reflect on that, because in the absence of that, we have to have an alternative. And the alternative cannot be that it will appear if a different person is there. Tell me what the alternative is. The alternative is that we'll have to cut our suit to suit our cloth. And we have been wearing some very fine suits. We have been operating deficit budgets for quite some time, meaning because we have the potential to repay, we have been doing things in advance of our earnings by borrowing, like your house mortgage. You don't wait until you retire to take a mortgage to buy a house. You take a mortgage, and as you earn, but if you lose your job and you lose your revenues, then your mortgage could now cost you what you can't pay, and then the outcome could be you lose your house. It's as simple as that. That's the best example I can give you. But we as a people need to appreciate what we are accomplishing and how much we are sacrificing for it. And that will put us on track to know what we have to do, not as a government or as a minister or as a prime minister, but as a people. Because all that we do in putting these facilities in place, they are not for any government or any prime minister or for any minister or any particular person, because we subscribe to the fact that whatever we have in this country, every creed and race must find an equal place. And those are the discussions that should be had in Trinidad and Tobago, but unfortunately, they are the ones that are absent from our daily conversations. But I am confident that we are on a solid foundation. I am confident that this building, to be populated by some of the best professional healthcare deliverers, encouraged by the academic strength of UWI, and supported by the people of Trinidad and Tobago who are to be the beneficiaries, we will move from strength to strength so that we can see a new hospital as a guarantee of improvement in healthcare delivery. But that guarantee will only be assured if we take on the responsibility where each of us do what is required to be done. There's work for the government, there's work for the public service, there's work for the professional team, and when you come in here to use it, all I can say to you, appreciate it and say at least you are in a country that prioritizes healthcare and you are the beneficiary of that national prioritization. Thank you very much, and we look forward to our future.
Check. A very hearty thank you, Prime Minister, for today's feature address. Thank you, Minister Stuart Young, Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North St. Anne's West, for your remarks. Thank you, Minister Dayal Singh, for your remarks at the vanguard of our health. Thanks to Major Anthony Blake for perspectives from the NWRHA. A hearty thank you to Mayor Alain for your very gracious welcome. A special thank you to the Right Reverend Claude Berkeley for the opening prayer. To members of the Cabinet, various ministry officials, councillors, specially invited guests, the clergy, members of the media, and members of the listening and viewing public, thank you all for your very kind participation at today's commemoration ceremony. Thank you, China Railway Construction Caribbean Company Limited, and all subcontractors. Thank you, Panist Emmanuel Joseph, for the opening anthem accompaniment. Thanks to NWRHA Staff Choir, to the St. Francois Girls College Pan Ensemble, and Freetown Collective for lighting up our day with your renditions in song. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have the unveiling of the commemorative plaque by the Prime Minister and his entourage. The Prime Minister will be flanked by His Worship the Mayor, Minister of Health, Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North St. Anne's West, NWRHA CEO, UDICOT Chairman and CEO, and the Chargé d'Affaires from the Chinese Embassy.
The ones in front too.
The Prime Minister and his entourage will then proceed to the lobby on a tour of the facility for a brief demonstration, thence to the 5th floor for an extended demonstration. Members of the audience can view the tour on the screens provided. The tour will be done in groups, and I will call out the names of those in Group 1.
Thank you very much. One more.
Oh, yeah.
Group 1 will be the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, the Honorable Terence Dayal Singh, the Honorable Stuart Young, the Honorable Coleman Bear, the Honorable Camille Robinson Regis, the Honorable Hassel Bacchus, Permanent Secretary Asif Ali, Deputy Permanent Secretary Stephen Boudram, Dr. Roshan Parasram, His Worship Alderman Chinua Lane, Chairman Noel Garcia, CEO Tamika Charles, MP Rai Ragbir, His Excellency, the Chargé d'Affaires, Dr. Shahiba Barrow, and the CRCCCL representative. The walking crew will consist in Mr. Sunil Ramnath, Major Anthony Blake, and Emily Ann Coker. The subsequent groups will be advised by official ushers.
By entering the user credentials, which is the username and user password. Each member of staff will be issued user credentials. The user credential is the first layer of security which prevents unauthorized access, as well as ensuring privacy and confidentiality of patient records. Right. Once the user is logged in, we will move to the patient registration module. As you can see, there's a list of names there, or you can search for patients, right? The search for patient uses the system ID, which is the unique identifier, which is given to each patient upon registration. You can search by numerous fields. You have first name, surname, date of birth, as well as national ID once it is given by the patient. And once the patient is located, we can then verify information on the patient profile here. We can verify information and update any new or missing information. Once this is done, we can move to the flow board. The flow board is part of the platform where all the clinicians could view the patient's status, whether what ward they are on, what bed they are on, clinic appointments, etc. This part of the platform could always be used also by, in case relatives come to ask for a patient, they can also give them what's the next of kin.
Again, yeah.
So before all this had to be done manually.
Right. So overall the benefits of the system, it reduces patient registration time. It also contributes to medical records, accessing patient records, as well as improving registration and retrieval of patient records. Essentially, it makes treatment faster for the patients as they seek treatment at the institution. Right?
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's called bed bureau management. That's where the e-prescription, the track stock and so on.
Right, we just want to thank you for the contribution and support for the health information system. Right? We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, thank you.
Just now in the Stuart. I think your camera was pulling it back. I was holding the port because the port was rubbing on the minister neck.
Let me see what I could do. I think Paul Jones had the answer.
So let's wait for the media to come before we start.
Honorable Prime Minister, Minister Dayal Singh, and specially invited guests. My name is Hedness Walker, and welcome to the new Central Block Level 5. These are my colleagues, Nurse Davis, Nurse Stafford, P.C. Adams, and A.N.A. Jills. And we'll just be showcasing the new HI system for the nurses. So first, Nurse Davis will be logging into the system using his unique user ID and password. This ensures that all the patient's medical records remain confidential and secure. So as you know, Ms. J.Lo has been admitted to level 5. So we'll pull up her profile and we'll see all her documentation, her diagnosis, dietary requirements, history, and all relevant information needed for us to plan our care. Next, we'll be showcasing her vitals. So as her vitals is administered, we can see a trend sheet here of all her vitals that was taken during her stay at the hospital. The doctors have access to this in real time so they can adjust her plan of care as needed. Next, her medication sheet. So she would have gotten her prescription and all the medication here is legible, so it decreases any potential for any medication errors.
So Dr. Scribble is done?
Yes,
Yes.
Dr. Scribble, these are not done.
Yeah.
We have gone to e-signatures now, and they just do a drop down and click on the drugs.
So all tasks must be e-signed. This ensures the accountability for all medical. The last feature I would like to highlight is the bed management system. So once a patient is discharged, it will be reflected here as a vacant bed. So this saves the wait time for patients in accident and emergency. So in summary, the new HI system, it increases the efficiency of the nurses because it's less paperwork and more patient work.
Good, congrats.
I just wanted to go back to the trend sheet, because that's important for the Prime Minister to understand what used to happen before. Before, you would have a sheet per day. So you will have the blood pressure today, the blood pressure yesterday, and if the physician or nurse wanted to see a trend, they have to flip through sheets. Now, it's on a graph. That was never available before. This is so crucial, and maybe Dr. Barrow could come in here now to tell them, Dr. Barrow.
Well, the thing about it is that that definitely enables us to be able to pick up any changes in the patient's status earlier and act on it.
Instead of flipping through paper.
Yeah.
So it's paperless.
And the medication, the issuing of prescriptions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Are we yet at the stage where it's all...
We're getting there.
We're getting there on that.
We're getting there.
We have made tremendous strides on that.
Because when we get there, that will bring about even more benefit.
Control, yeah.
Because the wastage,
Yeah.
unaccounted usage.
Oh no, so let me tell you what we have done. The system now allows us, because all these are linked for all the RHAs. So Dr. Barrow, what used to happen, let's say Dr. Barrow goes to the clinic in Port of Spain, gets a prescription, fills it out, then takes that same physical prescription, goes to the clinic in Arima, gets a second set of drugs, then go to San Fernando, get a third set of drugs. That is cut out now. Because everywhere we call up your name and we say, well, you got medication in Arima yesterday. You can't double dip, you can't triple dip. So that is already in place.
And what about the formulary? How soon are they going to get to the formulary?
Oh, the formulary is there. They can only prescribe, if you want to see show the Prime Minister the drop box for the formulary, they can only prescribe what is on the formulary. They can't go outside unless they get special permission.
Correct.
Right? So all the drugs are there on the formulary.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
One more thing, Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of Health. We, the nurses, would like to say thank you for this initiative that partners expert healthcare and new and innovative technology to promote patient-centered care.
The nurses are happy. And now we move into the ward. Final stop.
Good to see you.
Please,
You like the view?
You may have forgotten this young lady, but you gave her her medal, Miss NWRHA, who got an award, national award this year for her work in lab services. Right? And she's helping us pioneer the lab information system across the RHA.
Well, this is a sad
Makes you feel better.
And this is just the 5th floor. So Prime Minister, we showed you patient registration downstairs. We showed you what the nurses do, and now it's the doctor's turn, the pharmacist's turn, and the lab information system turn. Come to the room. Where's Anthony? Anthony, come. This is Anthony Niles, Chief Pharmacist for Port of Spain.
Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Minister of Health, good afternoon. My name is David Milne. This is Kali Upalapati, and that's Dr. Rajiv Kasoon in the back there, and we are all doctors attached to the Northwest Regional Health Authority. This morning, it's our pleasure to demonstrate to you some of the benefits of our new electronic medical record. The medical record is the cornerstone of healthcare. Every person who's part of the team that takes care of a patient needs access to this important record. With our current paper-based system, when we reach on a ward, the first thing we need to do is get access to this file to see what's happened overnight and to update instructions to the patients. Unfortunately, that process can sometimes take 10 to 15 minutes just to get access to the file because the nurses are using the notes, the dietitian is using the notes, it's gone to physiotherapy, it went to the pharmacy. That by far is the best feature of this system because right now we have access to it here with our computer on wheels, walking down the corridor on the tablet. At the same time, the nurse has access outside, the dietitian 2 floors down, the physiotherapist 1 floor up, all simultaneously accessing our patient's file, updating it, reducing time wasted every day, allowing us to spend more time with our patients. That level of integration is not unique to this building alone, but it stretches across the whole regional health authority. So when Ms. Doe's prescription is updated by a general practitioner at Oxford Street Health Centre, we find out immediately. And similarly, over time, this integration is going to spread across to the North Central Regional Health Authority. So when our patients visit there, we are immediately updated. Dr. Upalapati?
Right, good afternoon, everybody. So, like Dr. Mill has mentioned about the prescription services, so as the patient presents to the ward here with a new condition, we start to initiate a set of medications. But what this EMR is particularly going to help us with, when we start a new prescription, we have the ability to counter-check for any drug interactions to make sure the previous medication that this patient on is not going to have any adverse effect on this medication that we're starting today. And the fact that we also have the history of our medication course, we would know what medications to use and what doses to use. This is all centered towards safety for the patient. So once we determine what medications we're going to use, we'll put in the orders for the medication and sign them with a unique ID. And this information will now go on to the pharmacy where Mr. Niles and Ms. Peters and their team now will speak briefly on what is they do when that information reaches to them in process of dispensing the medication.
Mr. Niles and I studied together, but he was brighter than I was. I freely admit that.
So, with the implementation of the system, we can track all drugs in real time where they were sent. All part of the work, we can track it, right? Secondly, reduction of waste, right? If a prescription is duplicated, it will be flagged, so we will know not to send that a second time to the same patient. Also, with the expiries, it will help us monitor the expiries, right, and adjust as such. Thirdly, the drug-drug interaction feature, right? We could be flagged if there's an interaction with a drug, and we can reach out to the physicians and inform them of such, right? Fourthly, due to the interlink, as Minister indicated, with the other RHAs, if a patient gets medication elsewhere, right, we will be able to see it also, right? And as such, we can advise the doctors what indication, what medication the patient was on from before, and again, it will help save money, because they might get an inhaler here, and as Minister alluded, they will go to ARIMA, ask for the same inhaler,
and get it.
Right, so it's going to improve the efficiency.
And one thing I would like to add is that once a doctor writes a prescription on the ward here, the pharmacy downstairs will be able to see the prescription immediately. So it saves the pharmacy a lot of time having to wait for a doctor to have to write a prescription and then be sent down to the pharmacy. The pharmacy will be able to see it and process it as soon as it's been e-signed by the doctor.
And now NWRHA will comment on the lab information system.
So what happens when the doctor makes a request on the information system? This information is converted into a barcode label, which is sent to the LIS. So that which is a lab information system, right? So that when the patient is phlebotomized, this label, you just stick this barcode label on the sample, sends it to the lab. When it reaches the lab, it goes directly into the analyzer and testing starts. When the testing is completed, the results are immediately sent back to the system via the lab information system. So actually what this does for us, it has reduced the turnaround time from about 5 hours to less than 2 hours, right? What is the benefit? You have earlier clinical intervention. The second thing is we would not be rejecting samples where the names and the requests do not match, and it reduces accession time. There's no need for accession anymore, right? Additionally, our lab have been accredited to ISO 15189, and this ensures that our lab reports are accurate, reliable, and internationally recognized.
And that's why she got her national award from you this year.
I can see how things are speeded up and the interventions will come a lot sooner, and patients don't have to hang around downstairs waiting for test results and so. But the main thing I want to see is when we get to the point of the doctor's prescription and the nurse goes to the cabinet, it's linked there. Only you can go in there. What you've taken is recorded, when you've taken it, what is left, who gets it, what is the dosage, and the correct dosage go to the correct patient. All of that, I'm seeing, is towards the end of the program, we're going to get to that situation. And what that will do, it will save a whole lot of waste, and of course, any impropriety that takes place with the stock. So that's what I want to see, right?
I think if I may, the thing is just as one of the whole thing about digitalization as well as AI, in that you use the technologies, but you still need the human factor to double check the checks and balances and the validations are there. So it is not that we're getting or replacing, right? It is just that we are becoming more efficient in doing it.
But the speeding up is in healthcare. If you're able to intervene, the earlier the better, always, right?
Yeah.
If an intervention is required. So all that waiting time and duplication of effort, and of course the lost file, that is, I hope that will be. But it brings us to the next point that I want to raise, which is you have to have now that we're going to rely on this, you have to have a solid technical support system, because these things work. Sometimes they're quirky.
NFT.
Yeah, and who is behind that?
These people.
To ensure that that they work. You're the digital technology. Yes. Okay. So where's the training program for this?
The training program for this, we're collaborating with Northwest, and they're actually doing an excellent job. And we're very proud that Northwest has actually taken complete ownership of the platform, and they're creating the training program themselves. So we do the train the trainer program, and then Northwest is actually training all of the staff. I'm originally from Punjab, India, and I live in New York.
How long have you been in Trinidad?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been with us here in Trinidad?
Over 5 years now.
Oh, you're Trinidadian then.
One more thing. We love it here. Thank you so much.
You love it here, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
We have just
two more
a few more
Sure.
questions.
Go ahead.
So, along with the lab, we also have the anti-radiology could be integrated into our system. And previously opened the scan and had it ready for your viewing. So it's a CT scan, and we have the ability to view it in total, in real time. So by the time patient comes to casualty, gets a scan, come to the ward, we have all the information sitting down here. So this way, the plans or management plans will be implemented a lot faster than what we've been able to do currently. Right? So we have Dr. Kyusun showing another exciting feature before we conclude.
Additionally, we've mentioned that artificial intelligence would have been implemented at various points throughout the system, carefully and considerately, and a part of that is going to help us to optimize patient flows throughout the system, as well as optimizing our physician workload, reducing that workload and making us more efficient. And one of the things that will come out of that particularly is the ability to enhance our data collection, audits, and research, helping us to move the academic needle forward within the country. And probably one of the parts I'm most excited about is our companion app. Each patient will sign in with their unique patient identifier and password, and it will give them access to all of their scheduled appointments. They'll be able to see a summary of their medical profile, and they'll also have access to their prescriptions in terms of being able to view what medication they're on. So in case they present somewhere else, they can still present this information at a different facility, and they have it at their fingertips, as well as curated medical knowledge that will apply to patients across the board.
That's a read only?
Yes. Yes.
And also, during my presentation, you may have heard me said that we could share images now across the RHA system. So these images, if this patient goes to San Fernando, we don't have to do a separate CT. We call up this. We don't have to do a separate MRI unless it's necessary. But what it also helps them do, they can see disease progression. Is the tumor growing? Is the tumor getting smaller? Stuff like that. And this is already being done. Just that this facility will come on board by March. Northwest will come on board by March 31st. It's already in the other 3 RHAs.
Final thing, PM. I just want to show you, this is a dashboard. So from a management standpoint, I know you, Minister and Minister Young, spoke about how we manage this process. The HIS compiles the data. And what we have here is the ability to see monthly all the unique patients that would have been served, the money we would have spent in dispensing pharmaceuticals, medical consumables, and so on, the demographics in terms of male, female, age, what part of the country the person presented from, their nationality, and so on. So all this data is now available to the Northwest Regional Health Authority and is shared with the Ministry of Health to make informed decisions. Yeah.
Right? And that will help us with cost control.
Does that mean that we are actually in a position to cost the care that's provided?
Yes.
Well, that's important.
Yes.
Yeah?
We can now do it.
Good.
Instead of making assumptions.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Honorable.
I wish I was working with you. It's very exciting, right? It's a pleasure.
Nice.
Stay good, right?
Yeah, thank you.
This is TTT. Live for
local.
Hi, I'm Devika. I'm an excited Big Ride winner. I purchased my ticket at MedSaver Plus. I still can't believe that I won the Big Ride. But every time I buy a ticket, I always say, today I'm going home with this Big Ride.